Hey everybody, Joe from Joe of All Trades, bringing you another cooking video today. Thanksgiving is over. It's cold out. There's snow on the ground here in Akron, Ohio, so I think it's a perfect time to make chili. I usually make chili about once a year and make enough to last me several days. Much my mother did for us in our childhood, and it's just what I'm doing. It's a classic Midwestern mom chili. I like to spice it up a little bit and have a little extra accoutrement, but other than that, it's a pretty basic chili. But I've won some awards. I've won one award with it. I won a chili cook-off at work with it, and I'd like to think I have a pretty decent reputation amongst my family and friends for my chili recipe. So, wanted to show you how to make it. People have asked me before, how do you make your chili, Joe? Here's a video how. So, let's jump into the mise en place and let's get started. Here, let me flip this around. Okay. First, start with the meat. All right. I've got a chuck roast, and it's about a little over 2 pounds, and then some 80/20 ground beef. It is, a little over 2¼ pounds. You know, exactly how much, this is really all an eyeball thing, to be honest. But that is what I traditionally use. I've used pork before. I've had a buddy give me elk before and make chili, but this is just the basic chili. But use whatever protein you have. If you want to throw something else in there, feel free. But this is what I'm doing. The chuck roast, I would say, if you're gonna put in a stew type meat like this for big kind of beefy bites, don't get the store-bought stew meat. Get this and break it down yourself. A lot of the times that stew meat is it can be cut in the wrong direction. It'll be cut with the grain and not against the grain, which will cause it to be chewy. So I just like to get this myself, and you can kind of cut out the fat, try to use the fat to render it in the pot a little bit. So yeah, in terms of veg, traditional green pepper, onion, jalapeno, garlic, and then this is the secret right here. The chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. My secret where I get that little kind of smoky tingle on the back of your tongue as you continue to eat the chili, it comes from this. I puree it with a little bit of tomato juice before it all goes in the pot with everything else. There's different levels of spice here. So I've got these chipotle peppers. I've got jalapeno. I've, some heat from the chili powder, cayenne pepper. What I'm trying to do is build different levels of heat, different complexities of heat, and it really comes through nice. Dark red kidney beans, if you want to use, you can use whatever beans you want. Light red kidney beans, pinto beans, black beans, it doesn't really matter. But this is traditional. This is what I usually use. And then I've got diced tomatoes here. These are the fire roasted tomatoes, which I do like a lot. They do add a little, little extra char, a little extra smoke. So I kind of like that. When I'm making my chili, just standard old plain tomato juice. Then our seasonings, we got cumin, of course, chili powder, little Coleman's yellow mustard, and cayenne pepper. Make sure that you have plenty of cumin and chili powder. Have a backup, because usually you use a lot more than what you initially think. And I think cumin is just as important in flavoring as chili powder here. So let's show you what the accoutrements are. Mine, oyster crackers, sliced green onions, little shredded cheddar cheese. That's my traditional, and maybe a dollop of sour cream. I'm going to add a little something extra here, but in terms of, that's what I like. If you want to make cornbread, you want to have cheese crackers, you want to do something else, go right ahead. But that's what I traditionally do. I'm just doing what I do. And part of the elevated portion of this chili, and like I said, when my at work chili cook off, I called it Mom's Elevated Chili, was I added a little cilantro lime crema, avocado, lime, cilantro crema. So I'm going to do that in the blender. I'll show you how to do that too, and just kind of squirted over top, and it really does add a nice little creamy, acidic contrast to the rich, spicy chili. So I'm going to get this all processed, and then we'll come back and we're going to start cooking the chili. See you then. Hey everybody, we're back. Broke down all the mise en place, got all my vegetables chopped, got all these cans open. So right now, what I want to show you what I'm doing is I'm going to break down this chuck roast that we're going to use for the stew pieces in the chili. All right, come on down here. All right, so what you want to do is really, like, obviously what I'm looking at and touching already is these pieces of fat. You don't want these huge giant pieces. So I'm going to start cutting down along the fat lines. And just kind of separating this. So having a little piece of fat on the edge of a piece of meat, that's perfectly fine. Should be pretty tasty, but you don't want some big hunk of fat in there. And then also, see here, there's a little piece of silver skin coming through this fat line here. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I've got my boning knife here. What you do, just kind of press underneath of it. Just get rid of that. And what you can do, so as soon as I get done breaking this down, I'm going to salt it and cube it into pieces, bite-sized pieces. Then I'm going to throw it in the pan and get this thing started. But what you can do is some of the pieces of fat, you can throw it in there and the fat can kind of render out and get you some grease to cook your vegetables in, which that's what we're going to do. That's what I typically do when I am, building a big dish like this, is if there's fat that can come off of meat, I cook the meat first and then cook the vegetables in it afterwards, because that's good flavor and you don't have to reuse additional oil or butter, fat, whatever. So just use what you got. So if you can see in here, some of this silvery skin, that's not good eats. So I'm going to get rid of it. To quote Alton Brown, one of my culinary heroes. And this is just kind of one big piece of fat. So in here, so it's like the fat you can just kind of pull apart. And that's kind of where you want to cut it across. So you're not going to get all of it, but try to do your best. A lot of times you can just pull. Yeah. It's kind of a big hunk of fat. So I'm going to cook off this beef first, and then I'm going to throw the burger meat in afterwards and brown that off, and then pull it out, and then I'm going to cook the vegetables after, and we're going to get started. So you can see this here up close and personal. You can see the grain of the meat is running left to right. So what you want to do is you want to cut across that, and that's going to help you make the pieces not be chewy. Some of these are... You want a uniform cut. Those are a little small, but they had a chunk of fat on them. You want a uniform size to go, you want a nice little meaty nugget with each spoonful. So that's what we're shooting to do. So I'm going to cut across here. And I'll show you the size of the vegetables when we get there. But what I want is to have a nice little spoonful of everything in each bite. Little pepper, little onion, meat, beans. So that's what we're doing here. All right. So I'm going to continue to break this down, and then we'll come back and get started on everything in the pot. All right, we're back. So broke this chuck roast down, and ended up being a nice little chuck roast. I'm going to go ahead and season this with salt. Just kind of incorporate it in there. I mean, you can salt it before you start cutting it down. Whoops. Gotta keep that away from the dog. No. But kind of incorporate the salt in there. And get this going. Get this in the hot pan. I've got... Get this cutting board out of the way. Bring it over the pan. All right. So what we're doing here, we're just browning this meat off now. Pretty simple. Just brown it off. Just make sure the edges are got some color on them. You don't want gray pieces of meat in your chili. So might have been a better idea for me to do this in batches, but it's all right. But I just want the outside to get some color. If it's not cooked all the way through and it's got the color on the outside, that's fine. Because what we're going to do, we're just getting color on it. We're going to pull it out, and then we're going to put it back in with the other stuff after we brown off the hamburger meat and then cook the veg. So I'm going to go ahead and brown this off, and we'll go ahead and come back. By the way, yeah, this is at medium heat, and I put about a tablespoon or so of vegetable oil just to get it started. All right, so we're back. You may not be able to see it just because of the steam, but I've got some decent color on this cubed chuck roast. And by cubed, I mean I cubed it myself, not that it was run through a cubed machine. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop this out. Put it to the side. And then we're going to put the burger meat in here. Whoops. Got myself. Like I said before, if each little piece isn't cooked all the way through, that's fine. We're going to return it. And when this chili is cooking down, you know, we're going to add the beef back in. It'll cook with everything else in the pan. Just going to add in the burger meat. I don't know if there's a... Gonna go ahead and salt this too. I usually just kind of do this in the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and brown this off, and I'll pull this out too. And and then I'll cook the veg. But I like to have the fat rendered off so I can cook the vegetables in that. If you need additional fat, you can just, use vegetable oil or olive oil. I need to get one of those, it's like specifically for doing what I'm doing with ground beef. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead, brown this off, and then we'll come back. Hey, so while our ground beefs continue to brown, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I blend the chipotle peppers and kind of make a, add them to the tomato juice. And that way you can get it, fully incorporated into like a puree to later add to the chili. So I've got my can of chipotle peppers in the adobo sauce. I have just I have a single drink blender cup here. You can use whatever blender you have, but for this purpose, I feel it's pretty easy. And what I'm doing is I'm just adding the tomato juice in to the blender cup, the blender cup, whatever. So go ahead, flip this on here. You can see, basically all I want to do is blend this until all the peppers and adobo sauce, they're all pureed, and this is all one one liquid. So when we add the tomato juice into the chili, kind of like the last thing before it really starts to cook and all come together, I'm going to add that chipotle and tomato juice mixture at the same time. So we're back. Ground beef is pretty much, it is cooked through. So I'm going to go ahead and remove. I've got a slotted spoon here. Just do your best to get this all out of here. Scoot down a little bit. Getting a little spray. All right, time for our veg. Not going to use all these peppers. I think used a little bit too much, or cut up a little bit too much. You see the little piece of ground beef, you can pull it out. Let's look at my onion, my bell pepper. I'm going to throw in the jalapeno now. Try not to touch it too much. Go ahead and salt this a little bit. Good pinch of salt. Help pull the water out of those veg. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to sweat these down, and then I'm going to, right before I start adding the canned tomatoes and all that, I'm going to put in my chili powder, my cumin, my dry mustard, and a little bit of cayenne, because when you're using dry seasonings, Usually, the best way of pulling the flavor out of them is by having them fried in fat before you add any water in. So I usually do that at about the same stage. I would add garlic, because you don't want garlic to burn. So it's right before, when you're cooking things in fat, right before you add something watery in there, that's the time to fry your dry seasonings to wake up the flavor in them. All right, so we're back. My veg are sweat. And at this point right now, I'm going to add the seasoning. So don't be shy with the chili pepper or chili powder and the cumin. You really do have to use a lot for everything that you're putting in this. So I'm putting in a healthy amount. I completely understand that. And I'm going to add the garlic afterwards. So, and you'll taste it, you might need to add a little bit more here or there. Let's put in about a tablespoon of mustard powder. I'm going to add in the garlic now. That's about eight decent cloves. So what I want to do is toast the seasoning. And don't walk away from this because you're going to start to get some color. You don't want it to go too far. So you really start to smell it. The garlic, once you start to smell that, it'll take not too long to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and add in our canned tomatoes. You might be thinking to yourself, Joe, how's all this stuff going to fit in this one pan, or this one pot? And it's not, which is why I have my backup here, my back burner back here already turned up to get started. This happens every time I make chili. It's unavoidable. I don't know how to make chili that stays in one pot. All right, so what I'm going to do, after this, I've got my canned tomatoes in there. So basically what I'm going to do from now, everything that we're putting back in can be easily split. So I'm going to split what is in this pot, put it in this pot, so we can have two pots going at the same time. And then everything else that's going in there, the meat is going back in there. The beans have yet to go in there. I'm going to top off with tomato juice, and then going to let it go ahead and sit there and cook. So, it can all be split evenly now. This is not my first rodeo. So So what I'm gonna go ahead and do, I'm gonna add half the tomato juice into this one. Half the tomato juice in this one. You might be asking yourself, why are you using tomato juice? And frankly, putting all this stuff in with the meat and the beans, using just tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, or even passata, it's just too thick. You really need more watery thing, so all this other stuff, the beans, the meat, the canned tomatoes, all of that can actually have space to flow. And here we've got our chipotle tomato juice mixture here. Gonna do half in there and half in there. Half our ground beef. Half our ground beef. Half of our chuck roast. Half of our chuck roast. And stir all this in. Stir all of this in. And this is where I'm going to do the black pepper. Really do think that that's the best recipe for chili, or the best what you're trying to do. Obviously, it's a meat stew, tomato base, but you want to layer the peppers. You got jalapenos, you got chipotle peppers, you got all the dried chilies from the chili powder. I'm gonna go ahead and put in the cayenne now. Nothing crazy. I don't want to get this too hot. You know what? Actually, what I'm going to add is, I forgot, I picked some up from Trader Joe's when I was picking up wine for our wine tasting series. Some smoked paprika, if I can actually get this thing open. Be smarter than the can, Joe. Well, just a touch. Smoked paprika can go a long way. Whoop. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. Chili is really about the assembly. Once you get everything cut up and everything into the pot, it's pretty simple. But I want this to go ahead and cook on low for, I don't know, an hour or so. Just come back, taste it, check your seasonings. Do you need to add more chili powder? Does it taste more tomatoey or like tomato soup than chili? If that's the case, add some more chili powder, add some more cumin. So, go ahead and let that sit and cook. Make sure it doesn't burn on the bottom. So keep, walk by, keep stirring it. Don't leave it alone, especially on an electric cooktop. I've made that mistake before. Yeah, so now I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do the cilantro lime avocado crema. For that, I'm gonna go ahead, bring this a little bit closer, put on the blender. There we go. Okay. So pretty simple. It's everything in the name description. Blend it up. So I've got the bunch of cilantro here. Stems are fine. They're all gonna get blended up. Go ahead and do that. Shove that in there as best you can. I've got the juice of 3 limes. And we've got our avocados here. I've got 2 decent sized avocados. If you need, you want it to be runny. So if you need to add water to it in order to make it runny, that's perfectly fine. Seed top in there. Don't waste your avocado. All right, I'm just gonna put a pretty healthy dollop of sour cream in there. You know, I am gonna put a little water in there, maybe a 1/4 cup, see how that does. This thing is, okay. Everything absolutely pulverized, so I'm going to get a rubber spatula here and scrape down the sides. Make sure everybody's in the pool to party. I already know I want to add a little bit more water. All right. Again, scrape down the sides here. So long story short, get the consistency that you want. You want it to be runny. I put it in a squirt bottle and drizzle it over the top of my chili. That's what I would recommend. Go ahead, take a taste. If you need to add salt, add salt. But this is a nice little acidic, creamy addition to the typical chili profile. I think it's a good contrast, and I think it's a nice finishing touch. So our chili's cooking away. Got this done. I'm gonna go ahead and do a plating. So I'm making this for tomorrow. The plating might come tomorrow. So see you then. So I'm a silly goose. I should have absolutely showed you what this crema looks like. So that's what we're going to do here, okay? Got it in the blender here. Let me bring it down. There we go. All right. Amongst the chaos that's putting chili together. I don't keep a clean kitchen while I'm cooking. I do my best to clean it up when I'm done, but if you've ever been around me in the kitchen, you know it's a matter of controlled chaos. All right. Clean this up there. All right. So, I mean, this is what you want. It's a little gelatinous now. I'm going to put it in the fridge, and it's going to become even a little bit more solidified than that. So, what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'm going to, when I actually do the plating, I'm going to probably add a little bit more water to make it runny because I do want to do a nice little drizzle over top of the chili. So, again, see you tomorrow. Hey everybody, we're back. We're about to do a plating, and you'll go ahead and see that in a minute. But I wanted to do a wine pairing with this chili. It's obviously beefy, tomato base. We're looking at reds. You know, any red will do. Things more on the subtle side. Pinot Noir, maybe something French. Probably not where you want to go. Something more bigger, more bold might be, a better pairing. So Spanish, Roja, Napa Cab, or Cabernet, anything like that. Merlot, if you want to do that. Even Petit Syrah. But what I've chosen is a Malbec. I have this Malbec here. It is from Aldi. It's the specialty selected Malbec. This is going to be included in the wine challenge videos that I'm also doing. It's going up against a Malbec from Costco that I like a lot too. But this is a really great wine. It's cheap, and I think it'll really pair well with the chili. Hey everybody, so we're back. It's game day, it's Sunday, made the chili last night, heated up this morning, or right now, and gonna go ahead and do a plating for you. So let's get in here. All right. I'm going to do this up two ways. One style is going to be, pretty traditional in terms of, Midwest mom chili with sour cream, cheese, green onion. Do a little green onion. I like putting everything on the side just so you can kind of dip into everything as you get through there. Sour cream here. Little oyster crackers. All right, now that looks good. So we got just your traditional setup. Now I'm going to do kind of the elevated version that I like to do. So I've got, as I showed you before, the avocado lime cilantro crema. It's pretty thick, like I said, it's going to get pretty solid as it sits in the fridge. So what I did is just add a little water. It's got a little bit more runny consistency, and I can just kind of drizzle it over. That wasn't as artistic as I would like it to be. It's still good. Got some cilantro. I've got some Queso Fresco. So there we go. So there it is. My basic, elevated, award-winning chili. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow us, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram. And if you like, feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below. And if you have any recommendations or any recipes that you might want to see me cook, go ahead and let me know. All right, thanks. Cheers.